which was why he was the second. It was good to give orders people understood. That way there was no room for misinterpretation. He wasn't pleased by misinterpretation. On it. I'll update you on progress. Dario waited for Gibson's nod to free him, and then headed out. Less than an hour later, Gibson stalked down the long corridor toward his oldest brother's office. Max de la Vega wasn't only the oldest, he was now the alpha of the jamboree, having taken over from their father just months before. You aren't bloody. Max raised a brow as Gibson entered. I take it they showed you their belly. Gibson snorted and tossed himself into a chair. They brought a human lawyer with them. Told me they don't recognize our authority and would travel when and where they liked. The hair on Gibson's arms rose as Max's cat sounded in his rather feral growl. They did not. Gibson laughed then. Leave it to his brother to be as upset by the lawyer part as the slap in the face by the other cats. They did. Called me Gibson. Twice. And you resisted ripping his head off and beating the other with his spine? Clearly you're mellowing in your old age. None of them is worth the effort. I told them to get the fuck off our land. Gave them an hour. Put 3 men on it. He glanced at his watch. Time's nearly up. My men called already. They're complying, apparently. If they don't, we'll toss them out physically. I'll await the call from their alpha. If he can be found. I've had some difficulty with that. If he knows what's good for him, he'll materialize and do it soon. Can't imagine what he's thinking. 10? That's a hell of a lot of cats to bring into another territory, especially without permission. Is he trying to provoke an incident, or just stupid? Gibson had been thinking this over since he'd met them face to face. I'm trying to work that out myself. Their bringer averted his eyes and showed proper respect, but he didn't say more than 5 words. He wasn't in charge of the situation. So it could be they've got a bringer who is weak, plain and simple. They're a small enough jamboree that their population just doesn't have a stronger cat. I've never met Bertram, the alpha, so I don't know what he's like. It was good to remember that most other jamborees weren't as large and well-regulated as De La Vega was. A lot of cats lived in jamborees that were more just all the cats who live in the area, but without a real structure. I think the initiative Kendra is heading up is something of great use to us as well. Kendra, Max's wife, and the other alpha of the jamboree, was also a witch and was bringing a whole lot of change into their culture, trying to unite in the face of a rising threat. Unity was a good thing. It made you powerful, and the more powerful you were, the less people considered fucking with you. It wasn't always a clean job, and there were things Gibson had had to do that he'd regretted, even as he knew he'd had no other choice. Can't hurt to reach out to the other jamborees more often. Cross-train other alphas, other bringers, and seconds. Avoid the stupid shit. Max sat back in his chair. We'll find out one way or the other soon enough. Regardless of their reasoning, we'll have underlined a painful lesson. 10 is unreasonable, for any jamboree. Keep an eye on them. I'll let you know what happens when I finally connect with their alpha. Things were tense enough as it was without any inter-jamboree crap. He knew Max had a lot to manage, and yet his brother had risen to every single challenge. Gibson nodded. You should let Kendra do it. I love to watch your woman get tough. He said it, knowing his brother would be annoyed, knowing it would ratchet the tension back as well. She told me today that she'd rather deal with 3rd graders than jaguars. Said 3rd graders were more mature. A smile lurked at his lips as he said it. She's got a point. Anyway, I've got stuff to do. I'll check in once we know they're gone for sure. You know where I am if you need me. He stood and then bowed to show his fealty. Appreciate the service. Mia Porter finished her last pull-up and dropped to the ground. The muscles in her upper body burned with exertion. The sweat cooled her skin, helped her get past the ache. Excellent work today. Mopping her face, she could curl her lip without being seen. She was so over this freaking injury and all the physical therapy that came afterward. She wanted to be what she was before. Thanks, she said instead of punching her therapist. He also happened to be ridiculously hot, so it didn't seem fair to snap at him when he looked that good and was only trying to help. You're really doing well.